Bro, people just can't keep their mouths shut. Like, listen, you can have an opinion that varies. Absolutely. I mean, this is America. Please, I beg you, have your own singular opinion that is not based off of some absolutely crazy echo chamber, right? But just make sure you don't start saying all these things publicly. Because when you start doing it in a very super public manner, what happens is it leaves it open for people to make all types of assumptions based off of the words you're actually uttering. Right? So be careful with that. But, all right, listen, this is a suggestion via a channel member. Utter arrogance. New York City's AG has been skewered for distasteful post-Trump victory remarks. All right. Let's do it. Let's check it out. Let's see where this takes us, guys.
Live look at New York City, where Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul was speaking, but now New York Attorney Letitia James is speaking here about how her office is going to respond to a Trump presidency. Let's listen in for a moment.
And with other Democratic AGs across this country to make sure that we would be ready to respond to any attempt to roll back our rights. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans. So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready. We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution.
Okay.
We will continue to protect and our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us, because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, but faithful and steadfast, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law, and we are prepared, my friends, to fight back. Thank you.
All right, listen, here's the thing. I don't blame her. Absolutely. I mean, for all of what has been done, right, specifically to Trump, coming from her end, I can imagine how fearful she may feel specifically, right? But here's the thing. No one is going to start painting gigantic brushes, right, and start wiping out everything that is constitutionally valid, let's say, okay? If you have nothing to hide, I'm sure there is nothing to legitimately worry about in any of these instances. Like, if you did your job to the best of your ability, you spoke the truth of anyone that was involved here, then I think that it's completely fine. Right. I'm not sure anyone should be looking to do any type of retribution governmentally, guys. That's just the reality of the situation here. But if there are cracks in the wall here, let's say, then they obviously need to be flushed out. But let's continue, guys.
All right, so that's Attorney General Letitia James from the state of New York, and there's the Governor Kathy Hochul, who spoke just a little while ago, saying that they are prepared for a Trump presidency. Let's bring in our Fox News legal editor, Carrie Urban. I'm still trying to make head or tail of that. Yeah, she's saying, well, we could be facing something. We don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we'll be ready.
Yeah, that was maybe the most distasteful speech I've ever seen a government official give after someone won the American presidency. And I think it reflects exactly how Letitia James has been this entire time. She has done everything in her power to destroy Donald Trump. She failed. And you know how we know she failed? Because Donald Trump won decisively last night. This lawfare campaign that we have seen waged against Trump by attorneys general, by federal and state prosecutors, and them doing so by twisting the law in ways they had never done before. And we know this, right? This is not just a right-wing talking point. They use the law against Donald Trump in ways they've never used against anyone else in their states, in this country. And the American people spoke loud and clear last night and said, we're done with this. And yet, for the Attorney General of the state of New York to go on and give that speech just now is disgraceful.
And we're going to cut some of it that we missed at the top there.
I mean, listen, hearing it All I hear is that she's absolutely fearful. That's the vibe I'm getting from that encounter here. Is it distasteful? I mean, yeah, the dude just won. The guy who you have been, in fact, going head first at because you realize he had no power. Now he has all this power, and you're just like, I don't know. We have everything set in place. We have contingencies and backup plans upon backup plans, just in case. Come on, bro.
Meanwhile, I want to ask you about Special Counsel Jack Smith evaluating how to wind down 2 federal cases against President-elect Donald Trump, and where you see this going next.
Yeah, those cases go away. And they're winding it down because there's a DOJ policy that says you can't indict a sitting president, meaning you really can't pursue, prosecuting a president. And then you have the state cases. Now, that theory, that DOJ policy, has actually never been tested in the states before. But in the spirit of it, you would hope and you would think that states would do the same. We're still watching the Merchan case, the Judge Merchan case, and that's the Stormy Daniels, the business records case. There's a hearing on that on Tuesday, where Judge Merchan's next Tuesday. He's going to decide whether or not immunity applies to Donald Trump in that case per the Supreme Court decision. And then, of course, there's still the sentencing date on the books, the week of Thanksgiving.
So your former boss, Bill Barr, penned an op-ed in which he said, for the good of the country, he urges not just the federal prosecutors, but the state prosecutors to drop all of the cases against President-elect Trump.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
That's absolutely right. It's part of this lawfare campaign that
they're too bitter.
We've been watching
right now.
For years.
They're too bitter.
8 years now. For 8 years, this is what's been happening. And in fact, the former Attorney General and I have been discussing this over the phone throughout the morning and this afternoon. And look, I think what's going to happen next week, for instance, in this hearing on the business records case, is even if Judge Merchan rejects the immunity argument, and I would argue that politically speaking, it's actually a way for him to get out if he wants. If he could get out of it, he can get out of the case. But if he doesn't, what's going to happen is Trump's lawyers are going to appeal that in the hopes of delaying the sentencing. But I would just say this. It would be wrong in the spirit, I think, of fairness and justice to keep that over Donald Trump's head while he's in office. So they may say, oh, look, here's the sentencing. We're just not going to execute on it for.
Bro, I hope you don't think that the Democrats are going to give him any leg room. I hope you please don't think that. There could be wishful thinking, in fact, but we need to be, intellectually honest here, because if the roles were reversed, it would be the same exact thing. The level of vitriol right now in the United States of America that is based off of left and right, just absolute hatred for some reason, guys. There is no chance that the left is going to drop a single thing on Trump.
For, the next 4 years. And if they were to do that, though, I would just, they should really think long and hard about that, because again, the reason Donald Trump swept is because of these kinds of legal actions that have been taken against him for the last, I would say.
And to that point, your former boss,
a little bit more than that.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr makes the case that these need to go away now because the American people elected this next president, knowing these allegations against him. He said American people have rendered.
Yeah, but the people who voted for him were not the same people who prosecuted him. That's the reality. Again, we need some intellectual honesty here, guys.
Their verdict on Trump and decisively chosen him to lead the country for the next 4 years. They did that with full knowledge of the claims against him by prosecutors around the country. And I think AG Garland and the state prosecutors should respect the people's decision and dismiss the cases against President Trump right now, which makes the moment that we all just lived through even more remarkable. To your point, Letitia James, this is a few more seconds of what she said. We missed it at the very top. Listen.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before.
At what time?
And we used the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again. Because as the Attorney General of this great state, it is my job to protect and defend the rights of New Yorkers and the rule of law. And I will not shrink from that responsibility.
I don't expect you to. I'm going to be honest. Like, she's doing her job. She obviously has a bias, and it is what it is. Guys, I am from New York. I fully understand the culture of New York. She's doing her job. It is what it is. The overwhelming majority of people who voted may not specifically agree with it because they still voted for him regardless of it. But it was not just specifically that. Like, think about how unlikable a lot of what the left basically promotes these days. Like, think about that, guys. Think deeply about that. You'll realize instantly that it's a lot more than what this woman here is saying. All right, it's a lot more. It's the entire ideologies and culture that's being pretty much espoused currently by the modern contemporary left, bro.
You know, I think when she said to use the rule of law, she misspoke. She meant to say, when I abuse the law against Trump. And the thing is, and you know who else thinks that, by the way, or seems to think that she abused the law against Donald Trump? The appellate court here in the state of New York. I watched those oral arguments. They were all incredibly skeptical of this civil fraud case that she brought against Trump. You remember this one where they valued Mar-a-Lago between $18 and $20 million and then brought this $500 million judgment against him and used a statute against Donald Trump in a way that had never been used against anyone in the state of New York. I think he's actually going to win that case, and I think that court has been holding that decision for after the election. So we got to wait and see on that one.
You know what she said right there at the top? We did not expect this result. So, well, what did they expect?
Well, that's the arrogance.
Every time that they threw the book at Trump, it made him stronger, and it just galvanized his supporters to say this is unfair what they're doing. And yet they seem to be still, you know, singing out of the same hymnal.
Yep.
They're not. There's no self-reflection going on here. The Democrats are not sitting back and saying, "Wow, we really screwed this up. Holy mackerel, we threw this whole thing away. What did we do wrong?" They're saying, it's like a doctor who goes in to take out your appendix, and instead of taking out your appendix, cuts off your big toe and goes, "Oh, I got to go back and try it again. Do the same thing. And hopefully, I'll find an appendix in there somewhere." I mean, they're not getting it.
Well, it's utter arrogance, right? And arrogance blinds people. Arrogance, you know, pride goes before a fall, right? And I think that perhaps she doesn't even see it, which is remarkable to the rest of us. But again, it's because of people like Attorney General Letitia James and the action she's taken that Donald Trump won in the way that he did last night.
Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm not sure that was just the biggest issue. Okay. Let's just be outside looking in, independent voter here. Let's have a conversation about this. I'm not sure that the overwhelming majority of people who voted for Trump even cared about that instance. I mean, it could be in the back of their head, potentially, right? But I'm not sure that was the biggest issue. The biggest issue specifically was fighting against the cultural issues that the left are basically promoting and saying that these are the biggest issues of our time. I think that's really more so what it was. And the fact that Kamala Harris only spoke about deleting babies. That also probably was it, guys. And there were a couple of things that she was promoting almost exclusively that, the overwhelming masses in the United States of America just do not have on the front of their mind. It doesn't affect them, doesn't affect their families, and these things, right? I think that was more so why, based off of a lot of the people who I spoke to that either were voting for Kamala Harris or Trump, it was not this incident. Guys, it wasn't this at all. I think it mattered more to the people in like the institutional media, probably, right? But the people, it was almost purely economics, immigration, and the cultural, the cultural, let's say, I'm trying to be nice here, the cultural stuff that the left is generally promoting exclusively, right? That's it. And also at the same time, Trump basically, told men that it was basically okay to be men. It's okay, right? While the left basically tries to tear down the concept of masculinity. It's weird. So, yeah, there are a couple of things. There are a couple of issues here. And again, I'm not sure this was the main issue that was on the front of people's minds, guys, but I could be wrong here, guys. Just my opinion, obviously, right? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. And if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd, along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.